Hello and welcome to the PC Gaming Vortex. My name is Hikaro and I am joined here today by Gallows. And this is going to be our Need or Agreed coverage for the game The Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures. So, for those of you that might not know, the Need or Agreed system is something from MMOs, and it's used to determine the value of loot. So if something is a need, it is you want this item. This is something you have to have. Something your character's going to put on right away. It's going to use it right now. If it's agreed, it's got value, but it's not really that big of a deal. You're not, running with your wallet open kind of thing, dying to have this item. It's just wouldn't be bad. So this is Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures, and this is a game based off of a web series. One of the original web series, as far as I'm concerned. This is before the YouTube generation, has been going on for a long time. The game is meant to be not only a tribute to the Angry Video Game Nerd, but also a kind of a representation of the types of games he played in those episodes. It's very hard, it's very challenging. One of those, tough retro games. So I'm going to jump right into the pros list here. So the first pro is, man, there are references everywhere in this. If you are a fan of AVGN, the Angry Video Game Nerd, you will adore this. Everywhere you look, they are saying some line, some quote, some imagery, something from the series. Not to mention the fact that it has a really good representation of not only the challenge and some of the stupid stuff you see in the series, like bad controls and stuff like that, used in a very humorous way, but it also takes specific things from games that he's covered and episodes he's done and puts it into your control, including multiple characters from the series and things like that. The game is very hard, so that could be a pro for some. It could definitely be a con for some. But as a pro, the game is very challenging. It takes you back to the old NES-style game. Think like Ninja Gaiden and stuff like that. A very, very challenging game. So, what are your pros, Gallows?
Well, one of the first pros that I have is that it has controller support, which is a definite almost need in this case. I also have that the humor and the game style. It's very refreshing. The in-your-face kind of innuendos and things like that. It's you're gonna get a kick out of it. I wasn't a fan of the series, but I did find it rather humorous, and kind of took me even away from the game because you're so caught up in some of the phrases and things that are being said to you. I did think, although it's a tough game, I thought it had a good balance of challenge because it had some difficulty to it, but I also thought that it rewarded you and it had power-ups and good save spots, and so after you got through a difficult spot you could actually get a save and a checkpoint, so it didn't feel as repetitive as some of those tougher games out there where it takes you back halfway through a level before you got to repeat it. But this one, it had that difficulty, but it still felt like you were progressing. The other pro that I loved about the game is that it had multiple theme zones and levels, and it offered a lot of variety for what you got. The other thing, like I said before, was the cool power-up abilities, and it offered different options to the games, and that's something that I really enjoyed about it.
Yeah, the game definitely has a lot of really funny power-ups, and those are a blast. Now, when it comes to the cons, the major con for this game is going to be for people that are not a fan of this series. And what I mean by that is if you've either never seen it before or just you didn't like it, this game is immediately going to turn you off. It is one big, I guess you can say, fanboy creation. It is everything about that series personified in a game. And if you don't really know the concepts behind the AVGN or you have seen his stuff, you're not going to get as much of enjoyment out of it as somebody that is coming here because of the Angry Video Game Nerd. The second con that really bothered me, it might seem a little small, but it really bothered me, is being that half the reason I'm here is for the references. the fact that they're on the screen and off the screen so fast that you can't read them really bothered me. For example, every time you die, it shows a thing of him cussing, because he does that all the time. And they're really funny, but I can only get like 4 or 5 words of the paragraph in before the game is going again. So I don't know if maybe they could have added a press the button to continue kind of thing so I could read it if I wanted to. You lose some of the references because of that. He'll start talking in the middle of a level, but you're in the middle of dodging like crazy stuff on screen, so I can't like read the text bubble, and it's gone before I get a chance to read it. So I'm missing out on some of the humor. I don't know if maybe they're looking at that because a lot of the retro games did that, but that would have been something I would have liked them to modernize a little bit so that I can actually get the humor. The third con, man, this game is hard. It is forgiving when it comes to its checkpoints, but it is brutal, and it's supposed to be. But for people that aren't really looking for that hard type of game, this probably won't be for them. So that could be a con for a lot of people. How about you, Gallows? What were your cons for this game?
Well, my first con is that I felt that the game got a little repetitive with the obstacle challenges. You know, going through some of the levels, it just felt a little repetitive. It's like, hey, jump over a block, dodge this fireball that's going up and down, and then pretty soon the next one's, well, okay, now let's do the same thing, but the fireball is kind of going at an angle, or you know, dodge these gates that are coming down on you, and then pretty soon there's more gates in the level, and they just change maybe slight things about it, and it just, to me, it felt like sometimes that it got a little repetitive. The other con that I have is that while you're doing these obstacles, is that sometimes they feel like overly difficult. You'll get to a section of a level and it just seems like you're stuck at this one spot, where others, you know, they're really mundane and simple, and it's just, you know, trying to navigate your way through it. But this one part of the level just got, you know, you're stuck at it, and I don't know if they did that intentionally or not, but it just seemed like it was kind of throwing you a curveball there, right at the you know, at this crucial point in the level where you spend half your lives just trying to do this one obstacle. And then the last con that I have is that, just like you said, with the humor and the comments that are made, for a non-fan of the series, they'll probably lose a little bit of that flair because they'll just seem a little repetitive. So those things, for a non-fan, I think they're going to kind of lose some of its charm to somebody that's more of a fan of the series.
Absolutely, I can see that. So I am going to give my Meet or Greet as I am a fan of this series. James Rolfe, which is the Angry Video Game Nerd, he is influential to a lot of people that became YouTubers, including myself. It is something that he kind of did on his own, wanted to be an amateur filmmaker, and created a way for gamers to get out there and really show their love for games in a new way. And trying to take that and just judge the game on his own is very hard. The total picture for me, this game is an absolute need. When I found out this game was coming out, before I had even heard reviews or heard if the game was good, I instantly bought it. Half because I just want to support what he's doing, because he is extremely entertaining in what he does. But the other half because I have faith in what he's doing is going to be a good product. And I do believe, especially for the price of this game, which you can find on Steam, it is a blast. And if you're a fan of the Angry Video Game Nerd, this should be a need for you. If you've never heard of the Angry Video Game Nerd, I implore you, when you finish this video, to Google it, go to cinemassacre.com, which is his website, and start watching. And I hope you have some time on your hands, because you're probably not going to stop until you've watched them all. They are very good. So what about you, Gallows, for your Meet or Greet?
Well, I think for me, the whole system is probably a little bit different, because I wasn't an original fan of the series. So for me, I think the game, I have to take it a little bit more at face value. And for me, it's definitely going to be a greed. I think if I was a fan of the series, it might elevate my status on the game quite a bit. But just taking it at face value, like I said, and just judging it on its own merits.
I could definitely see that. This game is definitely a game for the fans. And with that being said, go at it. Let us know in the comments if you are an AVGN fan. If this is something that you've been watching recently or have been watching for a while. I mean, have you been following his stuff? He's got a movie coming out soon I'm looking forward to. I'd like to hear your opinions about James Rolfe's work and the Angry Video Game Nerd in general. Also, if there's a game you'd like to see us cover here on Eat or Greed or in our other series, Into the Vortex or our tutorial series, please let us know down in the comments. We are constantly looking for new games to cover, and a number of games that have been suggested have actually been covered by us before. And that's all we got for you today. So, we will see you next time.